Hi, my amazing audience. Welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Azmi, and you're watching Writers Literary. Let's talk about books. And today we're gonna ponder upon a book which is kinda amazing. So, let me just imagine you just wake up one day and you're a cockroach. That's what happened to Gregor Samsa when he woke up one day and he realized that he had tentacles. And he's like, why do I have these things? And he looks at himself. He's like, what the hell? I have to go to office. Like, that's the first thing you think of. Why do you hate yourself that much? Anyways, so no, this is not one of my delulus, although it is very possible that I would be thinking of very absurd things like that and making whole elaborate stories upon it. But no, it's not. It's an actual book which is quite famous in my generation in Gen Z, and it is very famous from almost 100 years, and people should read it. It was a good piece. Now, without any further ado, The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. Yes. So everybody's highly influenced by social media, which is a good thing because you get to see things out of your culture, out of your niche. And before I tell you more about it, my opinions, I'll just read you the blurb and the author's note, which has a very big part in my opinion about this book. So here we go. First, the blurb. The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka is a profound exploration of identity, alienation, and the complexities of human relationships. Gregor Samsa, a hardworking traveling salesman, awakens to a shocking transformation. He has inexplicably turned into a giant insect. This surreal change forces Gregor into isolation, serving his connection with the world and staining his family's tolerance and compassion. Like, imagine you just turn into a cockroach. What would you do? Like, would you be like flying outside and scaring the out of people, or would you just lay around in isolation and grieve? Like, I would fly. Like, wow, you're a cockroach, scare people. And I just have this theory. If just imagine Gregor was a 6 foot man, he would be a 6 foot tall cockroach. How terrifying would it be? It brought me great pleasure to think about it. If I were a 6 foot cockroach, I would scare the shit out of people every day. Anyways, moving on with the blurb. Once the family's sole provider, Gregor becomes a source of shame and burden, exposing the fragility of their bond. Like, imagine your sense of validation. You're like, I'm earning for my family. I'm at a good place finally. And I'm the sole provider. Wow, I'm handling my family so well. And suddenly you're just struck with misfortune. You're a cockroach. What would you do? You would kill lizards and eat from them, or cheers me. Imagine the sense of validation finishing. Imagine the internal turmoil. Imagine the death, the mental death of the person who would be going through this. Gregor becomes a source of shame and burden, exposing the fragility of their bond. As the story unfolds, Kafka masterfully reveals depths of human fear, selfishness, and the limits of empathy. So, what happens in this story basically is Gregor turns into this cockroach, his family is scared of him, and for some time they start to accept that that is Gregor and he is struck with a big misfortune and they have to help him, and they try to help him. Soon their financial condition deteriorates and they started seeing Gregor as a point of shame, seeing him as someone which brings the family down. Although sometime back when he was the sole provider, he was seen as, that shining star of the family. And it's just so sad that people see you, that love cannot be unconditional even if it's coming from your own family. That is the thing which I really liked about this book. Them exposing this is top notch. And as the story moves forward and we're shown how Gregor is saying he can't speak to his family because he's a cockroach, but he can understand every word. He hears every conversation. He sees himself. He's adjusting to the new body. He's understanding that he cannot work anymore. He cannot be the provider for his family, and he is just a burden. And he is seeing his family suffer because of him, and he's blaming himself. And at the same time, finding himself in the new body he is in. That is so pathetic. That is so melancholic. I cannot. The novella's absurd premise serves as a powerful metaphor for the alienation experienced in modern society, making readers question the meaning of acceptance, love, and humanity itself. A timeless classic, The Metamorphosis resonates with these universal themes, offering an unsettling yet thought provoking reflection on the struggles of existence and belonging. Like, if you are not of use, if you're not bringing something to the table, where do you belong? Who do you belong to? Will you ever get unconditional love if you bring nothing to the table? That is like the basic idea of unconditional love, right? And you should get it from somewhere, but you don't. That's like a slap of reality on the face of readers when they read this book, because it shows that Gregor's dad, who was retired, and he sat in his with his family, and he was like very proud of his son and all. And it was a very typical family where the son is like he's working, and the family, the parents are very happy. He has a sister as well who is childish, but then her love is such for the brother that she, in her childish attitude and her energy, says that she will take care of Gregor, and she tries. But then her unconditional love comes to an end too, and they just want the misfortune on the family to end. They don't see Gregor having the problem, they see Gregor as the problem. That thing is so bad. Like, imagine. And just for you to and towards the end of the story, the father tries to kill Gregor, and his mother begs him to save her son's life, and his sister, on the other hand, says that it's not even the son, it's just a creature. Gregor dies at the end of the story as a cockroach. No happy ending, just plain reality shown in his work. And no, the cockroach thing is kind of a metaphor, as the blurb said. The blurb is kind of a synopsis, you get almost everything, even if you just read the small paragraph that is given at the back of the book. Raghav Literary Press is the people who have printed this. This is basically the synopsis, and even if you read this small thing, you get the idea of the book. So, the cockroach thing is a metaphor for people who have gotten struck with misery, struck with misfortune very subtly. They were not prepared for it, and he got it. Like, for example, someone got paralyzed or someone got bedridden, and your family is like, what on earth happened? Because yesterday you were good, you were walking, you were with them, you were normal, and the next day everything has changed. Everything has taken a 360, and you cannot do anything about it. And then slowly and steadily you see the real faces of humanity. You see that your value as a person has decreased. Your value has decreased so much that they're not even seeing you as a human, but as a thing, as a burden on their heads. And that is so sad. And before I speak more, I should just tell you about the author so you get a more idea of where he's coming from, why the book is so famous in this generation, even after 100 years. And let me tell you, Gen Z has been relating a lot to this author. Why? Read the blurb and I'll tell you. Not the blurb, the author's note, I'm sorry. Franz Kafka. Franz Kafka, 1883 to 1924. So his work was published probably after 1924, so it's almost 100 years this book has been published. Was a German-speaking Bohemian writer widely regarded as one of the most influential figures in the modern literature. Kafka's work explored themes of alienation, existential dread, and the absurdity of human existence, often through surreal and nightmarish narratives. I just feel like, Kafka had depression. He hated himself, he loathed himself, and he didn't find his literary work worthy enough to be published, and 90% of his work has been gone. We only have 10% of his work, and that is such a sad thing because I really like this book. It is a very good narrative, and I feel like Franz Kafka was Delulu before Delulu was even a term. He was Gen Z before Gen Z even existed, and I feel like he was thinking about all the bad things that could happen to him and what would happen if those bad things actually happened. Let's be real, we all want to just paint the paper with the miseries in our head and keep the good ones to ourselves. So, Kafka imagined himself as the main character in every novel of his, and I have not read much, so I can't say, but through this, I am interpreting this thing, it's my theory, that he put himself in places of the character, and he just didn't want to make it very obvious that I hate myself, I loathe myself. So he put in his creativity, got in the cockroach concept, which is basically misfortune that most of us do. We look, self love is something we have been preaching from so long. Why? Because self hatred is there so much. Our parents didn't accept it. I think the generation before it was not keen on mental health that much, but now we are, and I'm glad we are. Anyways, moving ahead. Kafka lived a relatively modest and troubled life, working as a lawyer while pursuing his passion for writing in private. Much of his work remained unpublished during his lifetime, with Kafka instructing his close friend Max Brod to destroy his manuscripts after his death. So, these books, all of these 10% of his work that we have, is a result of a betrayal. Another thing which I really liked was in the about the author note about his life, that betrayals are not always bad. They're actually sometimes good. So, the positive side of negative emotions is something I really like. I love the drama in it. So, not the story that I found much drama. It is kind of very plain story, but in the author's life, I found the drama I was looking for. That's why I need to read the author's note to you guys. And Kafka's father didn't like him much, and he was craving for his validation like we all do, Gen Z do. We're like, oh my god, my dad should love me, my family should love me. They should, that's like their basic job. But validation searching and hunting and craving validation is not bad. We all do that, and especially from our parents. And that's what Kafka did. He chose a profession which he didn't like just for the validation of his father, which we all do at some points. I did that, for God's sake. And that's why people relate to him so much in this generation. And fortunately, Broad ignored this request, the destroying of his works, and ensuring Kafka's enduring legacy. Like that's a true friend. He could have published Kafka's work in his own name, but he didn't. He didn't take the fame. He was like, my friend, your work is worthy. It needs to be published. Best known for his novella The Metamorphosis, Kafka's other notable works include The Trial and the Castle. His unique style, blending existential philosophy with a dreamlike prose, has cemented his place as a central figure in 20th century literature. Kafka's writing continued to resonate with readers, offering profound insights into complexities of human existence. Okay, now that we come to the book. Look, Franz Kafka is a nice guy. I really like his story on a whole. But this book is not just my cup of tea, so I will give it a 6.5 out of 10. But here is where things go a bit round. If you're a new reader, you should totally read this book. It is totally meant for you because, first, the language is amazing. It is very clear, very concise, and although there were a few words that I couldn't understand, but it wasn't something that you're like, oh my god, what is that? And yeah, one quote that I found, the writing style is amazing as well. So again, that is another take on why you should read the book. Another reason why you should read this book is because it's very short. The last page counts 58, which is basically blank. So 56 and a half pages at last is what this book is about. It's a novella. It's a short book. It's a short story. So you should totally read it. Although the reason I rated this 6.5 is not because I didn't like the story, but because it was too predictable. Because I have seen these things happen. I've seen the complexities of human nature. I've seen bedridden people being treated as objects and not as people. And that is very sad, but it's just, I've seen this multiple times. And that is not a flex. That is the bad thing that you've seen trauma. Not personally, but yeah, I've heard stories, I've seen people. So it's just nothing new to me. It was very predictable. On the third page, I knew what the story was, even though I skipped the blurb because I felt like it was giving out too much. It's a good book overall, but I am just used to so much drama because I have read contemporary fictions. My favorite book, The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini, and A Thousand Splendid Suns, and then romance. Damn, the drama in it. I'm so used to drama. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I'm so used to the drama, the happening thing, the happily ever after sometimes, or the tragic end. I'm so used to it. That's something which I have been seeing and something that has been very normalized by people. It is very sad that this thing has been normalized, but it has been normalized. And I was expecting this to happen in this book, and hence I didn't find the drama I was looking for. And that's why maybe it's a 6.5 out of 10. But again, if you're a new reader, it's for you, you should read it. So that's it from my side, and make sure to follow, make sure to like this video, and comment in the dramatic things that you found in the book or the quotes that you found, because I could only find one of them. Share this video with your bookworm friends, subscribe to my channel, and up until next time, bye bye.